Higehiro, also known as higewosoru. Now, I know there's a little more to the title, but I don't want to speak butchered Japanese, so please hang in there with me. But before I even start, I know what many people might already be thinking. Wow, you're about to make an anime review on one of the more disliked animes released in the summer of 2021. But to be entirely honest with you, I do respect your opinions, whether you liked or disliked Higehiro. But in my personal opinion, I think Higehiro definitely is one of my favorite animes released in the summer of 2021. Now, I do mention this often, or if anything, on every video, but there is no right or wrong answer as to your judgment for the anime, because it's your personal opinion and everyone thinks differently and in their own ways. I do ask though that you respect any comments posted by other users and that you reply with all due respect. But to get things straight, I really do like Higehiro. I definitely think it's an underrated anime series because the film not only provides a rom-com experience, but also teaches us many honest morals in reality that a lot of people have trouble facing and have trouble managing. And that is why today, I decided to make this review video on Higehiro, clarifying the truths behind Higehiro. Now, I do indeed love all the characters, including the main two, Sayu-chan and Yoshida-san, and the supporting characters, Goto-san, Mishima-san, Asami-chan, Hoshimoto-san, and of course last but not least, Isa-san. Now, as much as I do love the characters, there are some things that aren't generally realistic when it comes to the main plot, such as a high school girl running away from home and being found and taken into the household of a complete stranger who then later decides to set things right and up straight so that the high school girl can live a normal life. I mean, as unrealistic as it may sound, I'm sure somewhere in history there has been a similar situation, which I won't be digging deeply into this video. But speaking in terms of reality, I do find it somewhat fictional. But as unrealistic as the plot sounds, the facts that follow the plot are unfortunately true. Sayu decided to use her feminine body as a way to satisfy random men in order to find shelter for a couple days. And this absolutely pained me, but our reality can confirm that people do sometimes commit such bad actions, both on Sayu's terms and the random people's terms. But thankfully, after spending countless nights at different people's houses, Sayu was able to meet Yoshida, who would later change Sayu's and his own life forever. Now, I'm not implying that everyone in the world is evil when it comes to sexual desire, but it certainly is an unfortunate mental state that people have engraved in their mind. As much as I like Sayu as a character, she definitely didn't choose the right path when trying to find a solution for her runaway. I understand that she had no other choice and that she had to resort to doing something completely out of her mind and out of her comfort zone, but I do really wish that she would have made a better choice and a better decision initially. Sayu's past is rough. Sayu is initially not very open with anyone and tries to hide everything with a smile. However, after facing many different heartfelt words and love from Yoshida, Asami, and the others, Sayu eventually gives in and unveils her history, or better known as her past. Sayu reveals that the reason for her runaway was because of her terrible relationship with her mother. After losing her only best friend that she had in high school to suicide, Sayu is ultimately blamed for the death by others around her, including her only parent, her mother. It is also revealed that Sayu's mother had only given birth to Sayu as her last resort to hoping that her husband would stay with her. But he had already moved on with another woman, and Sayu became known as a useless burden to the house. Sayu was never truly shown motherly love by her own mother and never understood what it felt like to have a caring parent. However, with Yoshida's humble decline to any inappropriate requests by Sayu and by constantly taking care and showing love for Sayu, Sayu then experiences for the first time what it feels like to be loved by a caring adult figure. That is why Isa, who is Sayu's brother, indicates to Yoshida that Sayu is fond, loving, and open with Yoshida because he is like a fatherly figure to her. Of course not legitimately, because it is later found that Sayu had developed romantic feelings for him. The biggest and the most prominent moral that Higehiro teaches us is about accepting your past and moving on. It's a common thing that a lot of people face yet have difficulty actually managing to move on. It's difficult, and I totally understand. When you lose something so important to you at an unexpected or even an expected time, you feel like you've lost an important part of you, something or someone that should be there but is no longer there, which hurts a lot. Sayu had a difficult time even managing her own past. She didn't want to accept what the past was for herself and decided to continue running away from her problem. With Sayu already being hurt on the inside, she was only curling up and hurting herself even more by experiencing bad decisions and the evil nature of other human beings. However, Sayu's mind is changed after encountering many caring people who continue to encourage her to fight and accept the past, even after hearing the painful things that Sayu had to say. Sayu was scared that the people would ultimately judge her for the bad decisions that she's made and the terrible past that she's had, but the supportive friends and people that she met had proved that wrong. On top of that, Yoshida never gave up on Sayu and helped Sayu change and to become a better person that would not give up their past but would rather set things right. The ability to accept your past is hard, and sometimes you would either do something morally wrong than to accept your past. Through Sayu's past and her his story, Higehiro as an anime encourages and enlightens the viewers to gather up the courage and the bravery to accept your dark or hidden past. By doing so, you'll be able to move on in time and will no longer be hurt by what has been done in the past. The thing about the past is that it's in the past. No matter how much it can haunt you for the rest of your life, and no matter how much you think about it, you need to be enduring and accepting of whatever happened in order to move on. When you are able to move on, you'll no longer be trapped in the past, but will rather be moving on forward and thinking about for the better of the future rather than for the worst in the past. That is what is importantly portrayed and taught within Higehiro. Another thing that Higehiro incorporates as a moral is self-love and self-care. Sayu would oftentimes put others in priority in order to somehow find a way to survive in the dark society. She threw herself away and considered herself to be trash. This ultimately became a bad habit of Sayu. She would not care about her own feelings but would rather hide or put it to the side whilst continuously being hurt. However, Yoshida realizes this and assures Sayu that everything will be fine and that she should really consider putting herself over others by showing herself more love and care. With that, Sayu becomes a changed person and she slowly understands why she needs to be prioritized in her own life. Although Sayu's pain did not completely disappear, she was able to slowly manage herself, and no longer was she curling up on the inside, but rather putting herself out there and fighting the pain together with their friends, and most importantly, Yoshida. The ultimate moral is that self-love is as important as others. If you don't know how to love someone that you know the absolute best of, how are you going to love someone else that you don't know the absolute best of? It's a complicated yet a very truthful question. I'd advise you to think about this a little bit. Love is important. Self-love is also important. You need to be caring and accepting of yourself in order to be an authentic version of yourself. And if you want to love others, then you need to learn how to love yourself that you know the best of. As for my experience with Higehiro and its morals, I was very moved by the way the anime was highlighting problems that people in our society faced today and even could be facing at this moment right now. It's hard to say because I won't know for sure if everyone goes through the pain of having a difficult time accepting your past, but it for sure was prominent for me. When I was a lot younger than who I am today, I do admit that I wasn't the best child I could be. I committed to certain actions that might have pained others and said things that were not necessarily nice. There were also times that I've experienced the absolute bedrock of my life, which are all the things that I have difficult time accepting. However, instead of constantly running away from all that pain that I'm holding onto for dear life, I decided at some point in my life that the past must be faced, and that the past must be accepted. Building the courage took me a while, and having to become determined to make a change definitely wasn't the easiest for me, but I'm happy and glad that I was able to do so as a person who I was, because I was able to become a better person. I think that Higehiro portrayed that through the animation and the storyline very well, and it really sparked that reminiscing moment in my life, which was why I was so heartfelt when watching the series, and that's probably the reason why I thought Higehiro was one of the most favorite animes that I've watched. As for concluding thoughts, Higehiro may not be such a liked anime for a lot of people for numerous reasons that I will not account for, but in my opinion, it was one of the best anime released. I'm certain that because I was able to relate to the story, I had more of a steadfast interest for the anime, but the beautiful morals that the film depicted could not just be ignored. It definitely touched my heart as much as the other anime film reviews are constructed, and I'm glad I was able to take part as a Higehiro audience. If you haven't had the chance to watch this anime, I would really recommend that you try to view the big picture of what the anime is trying to teach you, rather than simply watching the film for entertainment purposes. By doing so, you'll be able to learn an important moral that you have or will face in the upcoming future or in the past. I really hope you do share how you felt after watching Higehiro and or this video, and I do sincerely appreciate you for taking the time watching this video. But now, I hope you understand and acknowledge a little bit or to the full extent about the truths behind Higehiro.